Hello. Hello. Yeah. Hi guys. Welcome to the live stream. This is episode 19 of our Brahma Purana live discussion streams. So thank you for joining. And after more people join, we will get into some other current affairs stuff as well. I have some questions for the audience. Basically, I need to ask some things to you because I don't know these things myself, and a lot of my viewers are from different parts of the country and with different levels of having read or known Indian scriptures. So I get to learn a lot from you people as well. So I'll ask you something about Tamil Nadu today. But first, let's start with this sub-chapter of Brahma Puran. And last day we ended on a great note. We learned a lot about Vishnu himself and ended a lot of discussion about Lord Krishna as well. So today we start with Path to Yama's World. So the sages said, they are sitting in front of Vyasa and asking, the sages said, O sage, we are not yet satisfied with hearing about sacred Dharma. When recited from your mouth, it is like Amrita. We still have great curiosity. O sage, you know everything about the creation and destruction and the destination that karma of beings leads to. O great sage, therefore, we are asking you. It has been heard that the path to Yama's world is extremely difficult to traverse. It causes great misery and hardship. It always generates fear in all beings. How do men follow? How do men follow that path and go to Yama's abode? What is the length of that road? O supreme among eloquent ones, please tell us. O sage, O one who knows everything, we are asking you. Please tell us everything in detail. O sage, what modes can men use, donations, dharma and niyama, to avoid suffering the miseries of hell? How far is Yama's world from that of humans? What deeds make one go to heaven and what deeds make one go to hell? How many different regions are there in heaven and how many in hell? Where do those who perform good deeds go? Where do those who perform wicked deeds go? As a being is conveyed to Yama's world, tell us about his form, size and complexion. Vyasa replied, O tigers among sages, O ones excellent in vows, listen to my words. The wheel of samsara may not suffer from old age, but it has no stability. From the instant one leaves to the moment one arrives, I will tell you everything about the path to Yama. There is no one else who can speak about it. O excellent ones, you have asked me about that path. The distance from Yama's world to that of humans is 86,000 yojanas. It has been said that the path is as hot as molten copper. All creatures who are described as living beings must traverse that path. Men who perform auspicious deeds go to auspicious regions. Those who perform evil deeds go to evil regions. There are 22 hells in Yama's kingdom. Those who are wicked in their deeds are separately cooked there. Cooked. They are Naraka, Raurava, Raudra, Shukara, Tala, Kumbhipaka, Mahaghora, Shalmala, Vimohana, Kitada, Krimibhaksha, Lalabhaksha, Brahma, Nadya Puivaha, Rudhirambha, Agnijvala, Mahaghora, Samdasha, Shunabhojana, Ghora, Vaitarani, Asipatravana. Now those who have listened to our Manusmriti live stream discussions know some of these concepts, unless you know them otherwise in your life, in your general upbringing as well. We discussed all these different types of Naraka. We discussed them in earlier parts of Brahma Purana only. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, there was a long discussion on Naraka and Patal, etc., the nether regions. No shade from trees can be found there. This is a description of the path. There are no lakes, ponds, tanks, wells or water bodies or places from which one can drink. There are no pavilions or residences, no rivers or mountains. Along that path, there is not a single place where a person can rest. When a person is suffering or exhausted because of traveling, he cannot rest. Everyone must perforce travel along that great path. When the time arrives, he must cast aside well-wishers, relatives, wealth, and other things, irrespective of whether one has been born from a womb, from an egg, from sweat, or whether one is a tree or plant, irrespective of being mobile or immobile, one must travel along that great path. Gods, asuras, and humans are all under the subjugation of Vaivasvata. Everything on earth known as living, woman, man, or eunuch, in the forenoon, afternoon, or at midday, at the time of Sandhya, at midnight, at dawn or dusk, whether aged, middle-aged, or young, in the womb or in childhood, must proceed along that great path. Death can happen at any time and at any place, therefore, no matter what the age, they will have to travel this path. Death can happen when one is away from home or at home, on the ground or in a kshetra, in water or in one's house, seated, standing, or lying down, whether one is awake or asleep. Everyone must travel along that great path. A being can experience his lifespan for as long as it has been destined. When that lifespan is over, he has to let go of his life, even if he does not wish to. An embodied being gives up his life because of different reasons. Different reasons being water, fire, poison, weapon, hunger, physical ailment, or as a result of falling down from a mountain. When the lifespan is over, he gives us this entire large body that consists of the 5 elements and assumes another body in which he enjoys the hardships that have resulted from his own deeds. Having obtained this firm body, he experiences happiness and unhappiness. A man who has perpetrated wicked deeds experiences greater hardships. A person who has followed Dharma is cheerful when he is conveyed to Yama's abode amidst happiness. The heat within the body is agitated and is fanned by a fierce wind. It blazes like a fire without kindling and strikes at the inner organs. The wind known as Udana flows upwards and prevents the water and food that have been ingested from moving downwards. Along with their wives, sons, and kin, those who have donated water and cooked food do not face hardships. There are those who have donated food with their minds purified by faith. This is a fascinating line. There are those who have donated food with their minds purified by faith. They find satisfaction even though there is no food there. A person who has not uttered a falsehood, one who has not brought about dissension among those who are affectionate towards each other, a person who is a believer, and one who is devoted, proceed towards a happy death. Those who are devoted to worshipping gods and brahmanas, those who are not envious, those who are pure and generous, and those who are modest, such men face a happy death. If a person does not give up dharma because of desire, anger, or hatred, if a person acts in accordance with what he has said, and if a person is amiable, he obtains a happy death. Men who give water to those who are thirsty and give food to those who are hungry, at the time of death they are filled with happiness. Those who donate riches conquer cold. Those who donated sandalwood conquer heat. Those who do not cause anxiety to others conquer pain and misery at the time of death. Those who impart knowledge conquer confusion. Those who donate a lamp conquer darkness. Those who bear false witness, those who speak lies, those who take away life, and those who criticize the Vedas. At the time of death, they are overwhelmed by confusion. Yama's evil-souled attendants arrive. They are fierce and have foul smells. They wield heavy clubs in their hands. When they appear before his eyes, the person starts to tremble. He screams, calling out to his brother, mother, and father, "O Brahmanas!" However, sound does not come out and not a single syllable can be discerned. His eyes roll around in fright. He breathes with a great deal of difficulty. Full of pain in this way, he frees himself of the body. He assumes another external body that is just like the body he has cast aside. In this body, which has originated from his mother and father, he experiences the pain of karma. The amount of pain is proportionate to the magnitude of the karma and the person's age, condition, and status. Yama's messenger ties him up in terrible nooses. At the time of death, the being experiences extreme pain. The elements leave the body and the breath of life emerges through the throat. Like leaving a womb, the Jivatman gives up the body. The breath of life gives up the body, which consists of the 6 sheaths. Now, what are the 6 sheaths? Sheaths. Sheaths. The sheaths are usually numbered as 5. The five that sheaths cover the Atman are Annamaya, related to food, Pranamaya, related to energy, Manomaya, related to the mind, Vijnanamaya, related to knowledge, and Anandamaya, related to bliss. However, there are 7 chakras in the body. In ascending order along the spinal column, the 7 chakras are Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddhi, Agya, and Sahasrara. The number 6 might refer to the first 6 chakras. Mothers, fathers, brothers, maternal uncles, wives, sons, friends, and preceptors, meaning ancestors, are left behind on earth. He can see them, extremely distressed and with their eyes full of tears. The breath of life abandons the body and departs. As soon as they see that a being's lifespan is exhausted and his life is over, Yama's terrible messengers arrive, desiring to take him away. There is darkness that is impossible to traverse. It is extremely terrible, enveloped in darkness. Okay, so it's Moy, not Maya. Annamay. Okay. The path yields both joy and misery, but is extremely difficult for evildoers to traverse. It is difficult to tolerate and seems to be without an end. It is difficult to look at and impossible to cross. It seems to be a long distance that is impassable and always causes injury to evildoers. Controlling the being with nooses, Yama's servants drag him along. Striking him with clubs, they convey him along that great path. At the time of departure, they arrive on mounts that are bears, tigers, donkeys, camels, monkeys, scorpions, wolves, owls, serpents, cats, and vultures. There are others astride hawks and jackals, and with lizards and herons as mounts. They assume many terrible forms, like those of boars, vetalas, and buffaloes, which are terrifying to all beings. Vetala meaning ghost or goblin. The faces are long, fierce, and with crooked noses. Some have 3 eyes. Some have large jawbones, cheeks, and faces. Some have teeth that hang outwards, downwards. Malformed and pointed teeth jut out. The limbs are covered with flesh and blood. The fangs are extremely strong. The mouths are like nether regions with horrible and blazing tongues. The malformed eyes blaze, fickle, and tawny. Some are like those of cats, others are like those of owls. Some eyes are like fireflies, others like shakragopas. In the midst of masses of hair, some eyes do not flicker and are like fires. The ornaments are extremely terrible, as if serpents are coiled around them. They are garlanded with skulls and the limbs drip blood. There are dark snakes around the throats and these hiss fiercely. The coarse and stiff hair is as fierce as blazing flames. The faces are covered with snake-like beards and the body hair is brown and tawny. There are extremely terrible staffs in their hands, which hang down like clubs. Some have 2 arms, others have 4 arms. Others possess 10, 16, or 20 arms. There are others with innumerable arms. Some have thousands of arms. There are many kinds of terrible weapons that blaze: javelins, spikes, chakras, nooses, chains, and staffs. These extremely strong and horrible ones have many kinds of extremely resplendent weapons. When the lifespan of a mortal person ends, these extremely terrible ones arrive. Following Yama's command, all of them seize the being. The being assumes a body in which he can bear the hardships of his own deeds, and in this body, he is conveyed to Yama's abode. At that time, the being is bound in nooses, fetters and chains that are like the Vajra. he is conveyed, severely struck by Yama's terrible servants. He stumbles, weeps, and screams repeatedly. Alas, O father, O mother, O son! Tainted by his own karma, he says this. He is struck by sharp spears, thick clubs that are sharp at the edges, swords, javelins, and extremely terrible staffs that are like the vajra. Roaring loudly, they strike him with vajras and spears and censure him. In every direction, he is struck by each of these terrible ones. He is afflicted by grief and loses his senses. Here and there he stumbles. Thus dragged, the being is conveyed along that extremely fearful path. It is full of kusha grass, thorns, termite hills, spikes, stones, and gravel. There are glazing fires and hundreds of vajras that have a caustic touch. He is scorched by the hot rays of the blazing sun. As jackals howl in hideous tones, he is dragged along by Yama's messengers. While he is dragged along, hundreds of fierce jackals tug at his flesh. In this way, an evildoer proceeds along the terrible path to Yama's abode. He is scared in some places, he is terrified in other places. There are some places where he stumbles. Weeping in his miseries, he proceeds along that great path. He is censured and anxious. Suffering from fear, he tries to run away. Anyone who is said to have a body and anyone who is said to be alive has to proceed in this way. Along the path that is covered with thorns and hot sand, as they proceed, men who have not given gifts are scorched. As they proceed, those who have killed beings follow a path strewn with fat, blood, foul urine, and excrement. They are smeared with these, and their skin is burnt and cracked. Those who have killed living beings shout and scream. They shriek, but no sound emerges. Along the path, those who have killed beings suffer from pain. As they proceed, they are struck and pierced with javelins, catapults, swords, bludgeons, arrows, and sharp spears. The wicked ones are devoured by dogs, tigers, wolves, and herons. In every direction along that path, they suffer from the rocks. Along the path, those who have eaten flesh are struck and sliced with saws. In every direction, they are pierced by the tips of the horns of buffaloes and bulls. Boars strike those who have eaten flesh. Along the path, wicked ones who have destroyed honey are stung and bitten by swarms of bees and flies. Along the path, a deceitful man who has killed a trusting master, friend, or a woman is severed with weapons. Along the path to Yama's abode, a man who has killed animals or struck an innocent person is devoured by Rakshasas. If a man has stolen the garments or covering of another person's wife, as he proceeds to Yama's abode after death, he has to run there naked. There are evil-souled and wicked evildoers who have stolen garments, grain, gold, homes, and fields. As they proceed along the path to Yama's abode, they suffer from blows through rocks, bludgeons, and staffs, and a great deal of blood flows. There are men who are not scared of hell. They steal the possessions of Brahmanas. O Brahmanas, these worst among men are struck and made to scream. They are tied to dry pieces of wood, and their ears, eyes, and noses are sliced off. Their bodies are smeared with pus and blood. They are fiercely struck by horrible vultures, jackals, and the hideous servants. As they proceed to Yama's abode, those sinners scream. In this way, that path is extremely terrible and blazes like the fire. It is horrible, impassable, and impenetrable for men who are destined to proceed that way. The complexion is like that of molten copper, and there are blazing flames and sparks. It is strewn with thorns and branches of red amaranth, and they are struck with hideous and thick javelins and vajras. There are fierce thorns that blaze everywhere. The blazing sand seems to have burning coal mixed in it, and the path is impassable because of insects. There are fierce nets of flame, and the person is scorched by the rays of the sun. The embodied being is dragged along this extremely cruel path. Screaming and suffering from the misery, there are occasions when the being falls down. Nevertheless, Yama's servants strike him with all the different weapons. In this way, a greedy sinner is struck and certainly dragged along, because the being cannot resist Yama's servants. Everyone has to proceed along this extremely difficult path. He is conveyed by many of Yama's messengers who are completely contemptuous of him. Yama's servants convey the being along that extremely difficult path. O Brahmanas, he is then made to enter a terrible city that is made out of copper and iron. That city is huge and extends for 100,000 yojanas. It is auspicious and is in the shape of a square, with 4 gates laid out. The walls are made out of gold and rise up 10,000 yojanas. It is adorned with sapphires, emeralds, and rubies. However, the city is terrible because of large numbers of terrible gods, Danavas, Gandharvas, Yakshas, Rakshasas, and Pannagas. The eastern gate is auspicious and is decorated with hundreds of flags, diamonds, sapphires, lapis lazuli, and pearls. There are large numbers of Gandharvas, Apsaras, who sing and dance. This entry is meant for gods, rishis, yogis, Gandharvas, Siddhas, Yakshas, and Vidyadharas. The excellent gate to the north is adorned with bells and whisks. The umbrellas and whisks are laid out and it is ornamented with many kinds of jewels. There are the sounds of veenas and flutes and the auspicious sounds of charming songs. Large numbers of sages chant hymns from the Rig, Yajur, and Samaveda. Those who know about Dharma and are devoted to vows of truth enter through here. So do men who give water during the summer and fire during the winter, those who massage the bodies of those who are exhausted, those who are pleasant in speech, those who are devoted to donations, those who serve their mothers and fathers, those who are engaged in serving Brahmanas, and those who always worship guests. The city has a large gate to the west, studded with jewels. The steps are ornamented with colorful jewels and clubs. There are the sounds of huge drums, smaller drums, conch shells, and large drums. There are the constant sounds of large numbers of siddhas chanting auspicious hymns. Men who are devoted to Shiva happily enter through this gate. So do those who have bathed in all the tirthas, those who have observed vows of the 5 fires, brave ones who have died during campaigns, those who have died on Mount Kalanjara, brave ones who have died while saving others from fires, and those who have died for the sake of their masters, friends, people in general, or those who have died while saving cattle. O stores of austerity, these brave men enter through the west gate. The south gate to the city is extremely terrible and causes fear to all beings. There are sounds of lamentation. It is enveloped in darkness, and there are sharp horns, presumably of animals. Because of thorns, scorpions, snakes, and Vajragopas, the same as Indragopa, it is extremely difficult to traverse this. Wolves, tigers, bears, lions, jackals, dogs, cats, and vultures with blazing mouths always stare at all the evildoers as they enter through this gate. Those who kill Brahmanas, cows, children, the aged, and the distressed. Those who kill those who have sought refuge or are extremely trusting, or women, friends, and those who are unarmed. Foolish ones who have intercourse with those whom one should not have intercourse with. Those who steal the possessions of others. Those who appropriate what has been given in trust. Poisoners and arsonists. Those who steal land, houses, beds, garments, and ornaments belonging to others. Cruel people who seek out the weakness of others. Those who always utter falsehoods. Those who cause great miseries in villages, cities, and kingdoms. Those who bear false witness. Those who sell their daughters. Those who eat what should not be eaten. Those who have intercourse with daughters or daughters-in-law. Those who speak harsh words to the mother or the father. And others who have been determined as having committed grave sins. All such people enter through the southern gate. That is the end of this subchapter. This was a crazy start to a live stream. Next subchapter is going to be, I think, similar. It's called Description of Hell. So yeah, hi guys, thanks for joining the live stream. Okay, now let me check some comments. Garuda Puran today on which Anyan Aparichit Tamil movie was based? Bhagwa Pranam. No, it's always Brahma Puran. Hello, fellow comrades. Bhagwa Salam. Hello, everyone. Namaskar. How difficult was it to become a Brahmana that they were worshipped alongside gods? Was every Brahmin worshipped? Probably not. It's not Maya, it's Maya. Yeah. एब्राहमिक क्रिश्चियनिटी इस्लाम एंड जुडिज्म वर्सेस धार्मिक हिंदुइज्म बुद्धिस्ट जैन, हम एक करके सभी संप्रदाय को मिशनरी तरीके से वर्ल्ड फैलाए तो क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम होगा? ओनली ट्रूथ के बेस पे फैलाना, आपका क्या विचार है? आइडियली किसी को एफर्ट देना नहीं पड़ता है फैलाने के लिए. Word of mouth is the biggest marketing strategy, right? And when a country's economic prowess is very high, okay, when a country's economy does great, everything about that country gets noticed. Amitabh Bachchan used to say this when I was a kid. I never understood that back then. But luckily Amitabh Bachchan understands this much economics. So for example, Islamic invaders had to force you to convert. Okay, Christian missionaries had forced you to convert, or incentivized your conversion, or manipulated you with lies to convert you. But how did you get inspired by, not you specifically, meaning in general 90s kids or late 2000s and I mean 2000s kids, how did they get inspired by Americanism? If Americanism is sort of a religion, that the ethos coming out of American pop stars, Friends, the series, concepts like you have to sleep around in order to be cool. These concepts did not come with force. No American came to India and forced Americanism on us. We generally grew up in such a situation that America was the sole aspirational model. So everything about America got picked up by someone or the other. Now, that happened because of America's economic prowess, because of them being such a gigantic GDP. Everything about them was propagated onto the whole world, showered onto the whole world with a gigantic bullhorn, like a loud mic. They have the loudest mic. So when your economy will do great, it will automatically amplify everything about your country. Okay, like RRR Bahubali is doing. Everyone is going to be searching on the internet about who is Lord Ram. Some will get inspired and will research it day in and day out, and will probably, if they are religious enough, they will either read Hindu scriptures or find out things about Lord Ram, or maybe someday convert to Hinduism anyway. So it's conversion does not even need to be given an effort as such. But if at all such effort is given, I don't know what is the selling point, because what their profession, I mean, what Varna are they going to be, first of all? If Varna is really different from Jivika now, as I'm being told by one of my viewers. So if Varna does not have anything to do with your profession, then it's an even more awkward thing to pursue. Because as we can see, basically Hinduism is about something great and fascinating that you have to achieve. So if you are going to go around convincing people that, yeah, I'm selling you this thing that you have to achieve again, I'm not giving you just willy-nilly, you just convert and magical things happen to you, that's not what's being said in Hinduism, right? So how are you going to convert people? So it's best that you wait for your economic prowess to inspire people anyway, that why is this country doing great? Okay, like Vivek Ramaswamy is the biggest example. When Vivek Ramaswamy's speeches go viral, when his brilliant conception of politics, worldview, economics go viral, when his speech from 18-year-old, when he was 18-year-old, that speech goes viral, okay, everyone's going to wonder, who's this guy? How does he think so well? What was his parents? What were his parents like? What was his upbringing like? Then they read Woking, the book we discussed. Okay, everything is going to point to them having a certain bit of respect for Vivek Ramaswamy's culture, his country that his parents are from, and the religion he is from. Or his culture, it means Hinduism anyway. So that's an automatic promotion for Hinduism. Vivek Ramaswamy doing anything great. Now Rishi Sunak is not counted in these things because he did not really win the election as such, and he is not very popular. I don't think if he does stand for election, he will win at all. But Vivek Ramaswamy is the sole biggest advertisement for Hinduism today. And then Sadhguru is pretty popular all around the world among non-Indian, non-Hindu people as well. Srila Prabhupada has done a lot for these things, but active conversion was kind of pursued by Srila Prabhupada, but I don't think Sadhguru even does that. So Sadhguru, Vivek Ramaswamy, these people are, whatever steps they take is an advertisement for Hinduism anyway, and that's what we want. We don't even need active pursuance of converting someone. Did anyone watch JSD's ANI podcast today? Yeah, I watched up till about I think 60-70%, and that is what I was going to talk about. I had to ask you people something. Why is there more casteism in Tamil Nadu than Bengal? What is different between these two states? Since my argument has been that capitalism eliminates casteism. What the hell is going on in Tamil Nadu that them being such a prosperous state, they are having even more casteism? Now the commie will obviously say that since there is more Hinduism there are more devout Hindus in Tamil Nadu than in Bengal, therefore automatically there's more casteism in Tamil Nadu than in Bengal. Because in Bengal, I'll tell you, it's basically a caste blind society. There's some reluctantly some people follow a bit of endogamy. That too only the Brahmins pretty much. That too reluctantly. There's no hard and fast, no honor killings or things like that. It would be best that too in the last generation. Up until the last generation, people would think that yeah, it would be best if you married according to your varna, etc., or your caste, etc. But nothing like the stuff I'm hearing from Tamil Nadu. On the other hand, in Tamil Nadu, people get away with abusing Hinduism, which is also unheard of in Bengal. So what is going on here, where in one state you can't abuse, no one abuses Hinduism in that state. At the same time, there is no real casteism. At the same time, it's considered to be a less Hindu state, whereas the state that is considered to be more Hindu, where you can get away with abusing Hinduism, and at the same time you have more casteism. What is going on in this state? Other than that, the other argument might be the existence of so many casteist parties is what causes casteism to go on. Okay, there are no caste-based parties in Bengal. Maybe that's why no one's there here to propagate this bullshit Brahmin versus non-Brahmins fallacy and pursuing these fissures in society. No one to pursue these fissures except that small Bengali Bahujan movement of Dino Krishna Thakur. And now Mamata Banerjee is or the Bangla Pakho has learned a lot from the Dravidian movement, so they are trying to apply a lot of that here as well. Maybe that will help them create some casteism in Bengal out of the blue. But so far, what is different in Tamil Nadu? How has this situation arrived in Tamil Nadu? JSG's kryptonite of Dravida. You look young for your own age. Thank you. He referred to some very interesting people in his research. I started collecting some works as PDFs already. Yeah. Wow, absolutely no mercy. I have to be more careful in my acharan. Yes. This is some gory film or what? Yeah. This is what happened to CPI and TMC workers. Okay. Let's check some comments. Is the new ISKCON temple in Mayapur the biggest temple or religious monument on earth? Yeah, seems so. আমার ভিডিও দেখেছিলে দাদা? ও না ওটা এখনো দেখা হয়নি, তারপরে আবার ব্যস্ত হয়ে পড়েছিলাম সারাদিন ভিডিও এডিট করতে গিয়ে। হ্যাভ ইউ সিন JSD latest ANI podcast? Yeah. Okay. Who do you think is a better speaker, JSD or Vivek Ramaswamy? Vivek Ramaswamy. Sheer power of articulation. Better speaker in terms of I mean quality of arguments. There are still some arguments which I find that some arguments of Jesai Deepak do have holes which I don't see in Vivek Ramaswamy's arguments, or that could be, to be fair, construed as me agreeing with everything Vivek says, whereas I don't agree with Jesai Deepak. Maybe that's why I consider them holes in arguments, but that's just it. Other than that, they are both almost equally great. Vivek, okay. JSD, I think Vivek I support because of Indian representation, but he's still a bit fake in his speaking, in my opinion, like most politicians. No, I don't think so. Economy is paramount for spreading culture. However, we cannot lose our culture before we become economically strong. Yeah. Out of context, what should be my expectations as a young Bharatiya who seeks innovation and invention, who is aware of the socialist reality of Bharat, which slows economic property and industrialization? Would you mind watching Vivek interview with Mehdi Hasan? Oh, that is so irritating. He didn't let Vivek speak properly for even one bit. It was basically one chance to be a pattharbaz, and still Vivek handled it pretty great anyway. And his interview with Anomaly also has backfired. Everyone's hating Anomaly for being basically very rude to Vivek and looking for that moment. Mil gaya, gotcha moment bhi nahi mila usko. Okay. So, what should your expectations as a young Bharatiya who seeks innovation be? Your expectation should be that it's changing, it's becoming more and more free market every day. Like yesterday's interview of Amitabh Kant with beer biceps. Okay, you won't believe it if you haven't watched it. Anyone who is economically right wing in our live chat today, or anyone who's viewing this live stream, y'all absolutely have to check Amitabh Kant's interview with beer biceps. You have no idea how incredible it is. It sounds, first of all, it sounds like a motivational speech that you can work out with while listening to it. And he sounds like Sanjeev Sanyal. Everything that he said, I expect from a staunch libertarian guy to say. He was almost giving out libertarian slogans, talking points. Okay, except saying taxation is theft, which is a big libertarian slogan. Except that, he said everything that usually libertarians say. Okay, in terms of no one should have a dream of doing a government job. Government is not here to do everything for you. You should look for private solutions, and if your product is really that good, it should not need subsidies. Your product should be sold to everyone. Other people should buy your product. You should not just hope and sit around waiting for only government to buy your product. If that happens, that means that your product is not good enough. All these are beautiful libertarian free market economic talking points. That was being said by the head of the government of India's main think tank, Niti Aayog. This is absolutely fascinating, which tells you that our country is heading in great directions. It might not be there as of yet, but we are definitely looking at some brilliant future. If these things, whatever stuff Amitabh Kant said yesterday, if those things are pursued, okay, no one's going to stop us ever in the next 50 years from getting 9% GDP growth rate forever. At least, 50 years. So yeah, it was pretty insane. So there are reasons to be skeptical now, but I don't think it will remain for much long. Sadhguru is pretty popular among Westerners. Yes, the Mehdi Hasan interview is ridiculous. He didn't allow Vivek to speak. Yeah, it's kind of pointless. Gujarat too is staunchly Hindu. How come they do not have as bad a caste system as Tamil Nadu? Interesting. Yeah, what is going on in Tamil Nadu? I think it is because of Bengal Renaissance, which reformed and modernized many Hindu practices. Yeah, that is 100% true, and I would credit even communism with this. When they destroyed Hindu ethos, or being too much of being practicing Hindus, which they didn't really destroy. They destroyed it only from Kolkata, but they kind of affected people being too casteist as well. I think it is because, okay. What does Ramaswamy do to advertise for Hinduism? The fact that he says he's a proud Hindu and says awesome things that blows people away, that is an automatic ad for Hinduism. We need Bharatiya definition for modernity. Yes. Mehdi Hasan is gonna blast in his studio itself. Yes. Our Bollywood is trash. They don't have any soft power. As Jaishankar said, foreign people ask him why Indian culture or icons are not known to the world in form of movies, novels, how Japan have done in anime. Yeah. Now, अभी क्या SS Rajamouli तो है, उन पे ही भरोसा रखना होगा. All I want is Raj B. Shetty to do a real life live action version with realistic version of Mahabharata, set in Karnataka only or wherever in the country. Sadhguru is doing campaigns like Cov Recalling, Save Soil and Conscious Planet. It's very effective in spreading India and Bharat's influence. Yeah, I don't agree with everything Sadhguru says or does, but as per in terms of him being an advertisement for Hinduism, that's absolutely true. And even Vivek Ramaswamy, I agree with almost about 99% things Vivek says. But even if you don't agree with Vivek on 99% of things, you'd have to admit that he is still going to be automatically by default a great advertisement for Hinduism. वेद में प्रकृति की पूजा होती है तो आदिवासी भी प्रकृति पूजा करते हैं. कोई ऐसा संप्रदाय बनाए तो आदिवासी संप्रदाय ओनली वेद में प्रकृति पूजा कर रहा है, तो जो भी कन्वर्ट हुए तो रिवर्स कर सकते हैं. या লাইভ স্ট্রিমেও দেখতে পারো, তোমার যেমন অডিয়েন্স ওদেরও বেশ ভালো লাগবে. ওকে, উইল সি ইফ উই গেট টাইম আফটার দ্য Brahma Purana live stream. We'll check it out. Tamil Nadu land reform during British. Okay, are you sure there's no music or video used there which might give a copyright notice to my video, right? Tamil Nadu land reform during British rule had created massive caste divides. Then in British census, people began identifying with castes that they technically weren't. Okay, great. But British convinced them they were. Oh shit. Only Ved ka आधार बना के only for Adivasis के लिए ही. Ramaswamy fumbled when Mehdi Hasan pressed him about what exactly did he find abhorrent in Trump. No, he didn't fumble. That's I mean, a little bit of bias will always work. We'll never know who is actually right, whether you or me. But Ramaswamy doesn't have anything to fumble there about. Okay, what Ramaswamy said, he found abhorrent about it. He has said it repeatedly. Even if it is abhorrent, even if it is a wrong judgment, it's not illegal. He is now popularizing or propagating, vocalizing the idea loudly that whatever Trump did, even if it was abhorrent, not abhorrent, bad judgment, whatever it was not legal. So right now what I'm doing is defending Trump from getting legally harassed. Whatever he did does not deserve legal harassment. Okay, that's his entire point. Abhorrent है तो नहीं है, क्या होगा? Legally harass करना चाहिए कि नहीं? That is his point now, and that was his point before. Okay, it was abhorrent. So what if it was abhorrent? It was still not legally harassable. Now he's being legally harassed, and that's what Vivek is pursuing. Now what people are confused with anti-Vivek people, basically, they are thinking, if you called him abhorrent, why are you defending him so much? I'm defending him because he did not do anything illegal. He did something abhorrent. Same thing happened with permanent settlement reform in Bihar, but there Congress had started quite a positive natured anti-caste movement by 1920s, where they didn't target upper caste like Tamil Nadu. I see. Whereas in Tamil Nadu, these anti-caste parties would pit one caste against another, and when they want consolidation, will target specifically Brahmins and blame them for problems. And yeah, and another thing I think I have noticed is that even when there are different caste-based parties or politics and seat distributions in Bihar and UP, there are different seats again for Brahmins as well. Okay, so Brahmins vote just for Brahmins, other castes vote for just their castes, those sort of things. But in Tamil Nadu only, I guess it became just Brahmins versus everyone else. Whereas in Tamil Nadu, these are এতই যদি অমিতাভ কান্ত ভালো হয় তাহলে দেশের ইকোনমি এত স্লো গ্রো করছে কেন? দেশের ইকোনমি স্লো গ্রো করছে কোথায়? ইটস দ্য ফাস্টেস্ট among all largest big economies in the world, and big economies will obviously, I mean, if you are saying it's slow in comparison to African economies, who are the only countries growing faster than India, then you will have to remember that things which are already big enough, they will grow slower. Okay, American economy is not growing at not even at 4%. It's growing at 1.5% to 2%. Okay, but even if Vivek Ramaswamy waves a wand, even then USA won't grow at 8% because उनका grow करने का कुछ बाकी नहीं रह गया है. Okay, so we are only growing at 8 to 9%. No one in our stature, weaker than us, stronger than us, is growing at 8 to 9%. Only countries who are growing faster than us are extremely underdeveloped countries in Africa. Okay, only they have, like Ghana and all, they have about 13-14% growth rate, क्योंकि उनका भी growth का बहुत कुछ बाकी है. Like if you don't have a road in half your country and you build just roads, उसके लिए जितना employment investment होगा उसी से तुम्हारा GDP growth rate will become 15%. तो ऐसा तो हमारा नहीं है कि पूरा देश में आधे जगह में रास्ता नहीं है. तो we are at a different starting point, and that is why people like investing in big cap companies versus small cap companies. In small cap companies, your risk is that the company might go to hell, or the company might have a bigger growth trajectory. That mad growth trajectory you will never have in TCS, Tata or Reliance ever, because they are already pretty big. So big countries will grow slower than faster than weaker smaller countries. So I don't absolutely see how India's growth is slow. I think Bengal being casteless also has to do with bhakti movements led by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, etc. Yeah. When I criticize the Indian economy, it's for not being fast enough. But it's not slow by any means compared to others, because we have to always compare things to other countries. Right now, I think Hinduism is everyone having his own opinion and trying to find scriptures to back them up. Yes, no real, this is what you do think, which may be our strength or weakness, I'm not sure. You are right, it's both a strength and weakness. Even in Brahma Samaj, there was a Brahmin and non-Brahmins in schism, I see. Socially unacceptable things should be dealt socially, not only legally. Unacceptable have to be dealt legally. Hemendranath Tagore stopped non-Brahmin Purohit in Brahma Samaj, I believe, I see. But he doesn't explicitly answer what he did find abhorrent between on a blabber that is not illegal, just a bad judgment, yada yada lol. Sadhguru is a gish galloper. I don't know what gish galloper means. And what did he find abhorrent? Yeah. What he did find abhorrent is specifically mentioned in the book itself, and at the end of the day, it does come down to the tone of the journalist and what his intentions are. If Vivek is intelligent as we think he is, he knows who the fuck Mehdi Hasan is and what his intentions are. Everyone in India knows who Mehdi Hasan is. So I'm sure Vivek also knows why he dislikes Vivek. If Vivek had come out as a member of the Democratic Party and said the exact same things, and even casually mentioned that, okay, Trump did say abhorrent things there, but does not deserve legal harassment, but Hinduism is bad, and even though I'm a practicing Hindu because I shot a Instagram reel on Ashtami, even then I would say casteism is the biggest problem in the world we face today, and I'm going to end casteism as the American president. Mehdi Hasan would be sucking Vivek Ramaswamy's dick on live television right now. But he doesn't. So I don't think Vivek Ramaswamy really needs to explain Trump's abhorrentness to Mehdi Hasan, out of all people. Sadhguru is a gish galloper. Bharat should be growing at least at 12%. Yeah, it could if a lot of other things were done. Yes, our economy is not growing fast enough. That's my point. Oh yeah, then fair enough. Well, then in context of this particular viewpoint, I would defend Amitabh Kant by saying that the transition has to happen a bit slow. The transition from being a complete socialist economy to a complete, it's never going to be complete, but a more free market economy, they are taking a slow transition path. चलो क्या करें, इससे ज़्यादा फास्ट ट्रांजिशन करेगा तो कांग्रेस या तृणमूल पावर में आ जाएगा, तो अब वो है हमारा गब्बर. स्लो ट्रांजिशन एक्सेप्ट करो, नहीं तो गब्बर आ जाएगा. So we have to accept it, we can't do anything. I agree with Vivek in mostly what he says, but he definitely evaded the abhorrent question. Yeah, and for the reasons I explained. Okay, now description of hell. Because what Mehdi Hasan was asking is a very, very old school, stupid type of question. No one cares anyway, unless one is actively looking for Vivek to have an uncomfortable moment. There's absolutely no one in the entire country who would not understand what he meant by abhorrent. Okay, everyone knows what he meant by abhorrent. Everyone knows what he means now when he says that it's not legally persuable. So what are you then asking him this question for? Only to get him to feel uncomfortable. So if you're then that's literally the definition of being a bad faith actor. So no one intelligent, no one who understands politics should encourage a bad faith actor. That's why when Meet Kevin tried to do that expose of Vivek, he did not go to his podcast. Meet Kevin is a Democratic candidate for California governorship anyway. So, but he went to Anomaly, and we saw that Anomaly, Breakfast Club, these people were bad faith actors, but they got exposed on their own shows. Mehdi Hasan has also gotten exposed. The main talking point that everyone's going to have out of the Mehdi Hasan Vivek Ramaswamy interview is that Mehdi Hasan didn't act in good faith. He was interrupting Vivek continuously. And if Hindus of the entire world can explain to Americans who support Vivek that there are other reasons why Mehdi is hating on Vivek, then it's an even beneficial point for Vivek. But the comment section, what you see on MSNBC's YouTube channel, that's going to be very skewed against Vivek because they are all Democrats. The channel is mainly supported by Democrats. তুমি কেন মনে করো ইকোনমি ফাস্ট গ্রো করলে কংগ্রেস ক্ষমতায় চলে আসবে? কারণ ইকোনমি ফাস্ট, okay, he's asking that why do I think that if the economy grows faster, Congress will come to power? Because in order to have a faster growing economy, the things that BJP will have to do, those things will lead to Congress coming to power. They will absolutely have to cut down on freebies, cut down subsidies, pass farm laws. All these three things are probably going to help Congress, which is why BJP is not doing them. Otherwise, why would they not do it? If Amitabh Kant has this kind of vision, if they have a guy called Sanjeev Sanyal in their midst, why else are they not doing it? They have not kept Amitabh Kant and Sanjeev Sanyal just for fun. If they wanted to do socialism, they would not hire these guys. So the only explanation that we can speculate is that they think doing those things will get Congress to power, so we'll do them more and more gradually. তুমি কেন মনে করো ইকোনমি, ওকে, can certainly be more capitalist in her policies. Yeah, we should be. What was Chanakya's view on economy? I know this is a very big answer, but if you could give a small summary. Yeah. Chanakya's view was that business is extremely important. You cannot look at business wealth with disrespect as commies and socialists do, and instead you always must have a skeptical view of government bureaucrats, because again, the quote I like to repeat, I think we did even in last live stream, is that just like you never know when a fish drinks water, it's hard to find out when a bureaucrat is stealing money from the government treasury. So he had that much of skepticism for government and government employees. But at the end of the day, he's not a libertarian per se, because he believes a government is required for national security, defense, homeland security, and even maintaining a framework where inside which great economic activities can take place. Okay, so the state has to prevent those things. Things like cartelization, people stealing from each other, or big businesses stealing from each other, preventing Matsya Nyaya, where basically the big fish eats the smaller fish. Now you have to allow to if this is Matsya Nyaya, you have to allow this to some extent. If you avoid Matsya Nyaya completely, then your hope is a socialistic society. Okay, so he's obviously, when he's saying he's preventing Matsya Nyaya, it does not mean zero Matsya Nyaya. There will have to be a bit of Matsya Nyaya. So that's Chanakya's position. State is very important. Be skeptical of government employees. Let business do its thing. Which was basically Narendra Modi's slogan when he came to power, I think in 2019, that minimum government, maximum governance. It's a cool slogan. They have done it as much as possible according to our election realities. But that is the vision of Chanakya as well. I really want Arnab Goswami versus Mehdi Hasan. Yeah, I would rather stab my ears with a knife. Well, that's the point of a journalist, to grill the interviewee and pick questions that will make them uncomfortable, hold them accountable for things said in the past. Yes, you will have to hold them. A journalist's job is to hold them accountable for crimes they have committed, or things that they think, even if the journalist thinks is bad. If a journalist's job is to look for a gotcha moment that means absolutely nothing, that is obvious to everyone, then he's not a journalist, he's just a partisan hack, which Mehdi Hasan is. Okay, he's a bad faith actor then. Then what is the difference between an actor and a journalist? Okay, he's not a journalist for just being a journalist's sake. It's not a this stupidity is actually taught in journalism, which is why I became a dropout. This is what I can't stand about journalism. That does be a dumb fuck and casually grill the interviewee, pick questions that are absolutely meaningless, no one gives a shit about, and pretend like you got a big politician to fumble and quiver with fear. Why Librando YouTubers have so many subscribers? Is YouTube algorithm responsible for it? A little bit might be that. A lot of right-wingers channels and specific videos get demonetized or shadow banned from time to time. But you see, there are more right-wing YouTubers at least. Librando YouTubers are, I think, mainly Dhruv Rathi and Akash Banerjee, right? But on the right, there are so many YouTubers with more than 1 million subscribers. And Beer Biceps is again a guy who is kind of viewed as a neutral guy, but he brings so many people who have different kinds of points of view. So our views are getting propagated anyway. Agreed, but the point is, high GDP growth, perceived worth of things appreciates very fast, and the wages may not rise fast enough. Yeah. As Deloitte stated, with current growth rate, India can become developed country in 20 years only if growth rate is maintained without fail. Yeah, I think it will increase. Why Rajashri Nondi is so popular? Who is he? Oh, he's a Tantra Upasaka. Who is fluent in English, so he gets to explain a lot of things that other people know but are not able to explain properly in English. Why is that not libertarian? Maybe Chanakya was not anarcho-capitalist, but I don't see why he wasn't a libertarian. You are kind of right. That is kind of libertarian, but not libertarian fully, because a libertarian would not be so happy and gay about having a strong state, because they are anti-statist first and foremost. They would never say that a state should be strong, because what you are fearing from the bureaucrat, you can't fear the bureaucrat and give them the strength to be almighty, all powerful at the same time. That's what they would say. And taxation is theft is a basic talking point of any libertarian in the world, no matter how much, which way of the spectrum they are. And Chanakya would never say that. He would always say that taxation is great. You need great taxation for a wealthy state, and only then the wealthy state can function to its best qualities and best capabilities. With which I would disagree a bit. Taxation is also kind of theft. There needs to be a flat tax of some sort, 10%, 12%, all over the board, and no other random taxes. And it would simplify the process as well, cut down on the bureaucracy related to taxes as well with these policies. And you know, right, that when the tax rate is actually lower, tax revenue collection actually ends up becoming higher. Okay, that is a fun distinction, that because when taxes are so complex or so high, people who are actually rich, people who have the contacts or the money even to evade paying taxes, they make all those efforts to not pay taxes. Then they open up shell companies, hide their money here and there, Swiss bank, okay, Panama, etc. Panama Papers, it's not in Panama. But those sorts of things happen, and therefore the government ends up collecting lesser amounts of taxes. But when the taxation is simple and lower, those same people think that what's the point of this hassle? What's the point of doing these illegal stuff? I'll rather pay the tax here only. And the tax collection in the end ends up becoming higher for the government. And as you see, whenever anything that's meant to create a problem for the rich people by anyone, by any government, okay, that inherently only affects the poorer classes only, because the rich people anywhere in any society, no matter capitalistic or socialistic, can get away with things. Okay, there has never been a society where rich people really had any big problems. Okay, even if let's say the rich people of Kolkata, either they joined hands with communists, the businessmen, to be as to you have to be caught up in a communistic society to survive, or they left Bengal. Okay, so it was Bengal's loss, but it was never their loss. Either they colluded with CPIM or Trinamool to succeed in their lives, or they left the city. Uska kya gaya? Unka kuch nahi jata hai. Whenever you think of a magical solution that will create problems for rich people, it will always hurt the poor people only, okay, or the middle class. And that's what happens with guns as well. When you bring strict gun laws, it's only the law-abiding citizen that gets hampered, okay, whose life gets hampered, not the criminal. The criminal has broken 50 laws, he'll break another 51st law and have an illegal gun. Uska kya jata hai? So it's best that taxes are flat and at about 11-12%. And even if there's a GST is a great idea, but it can't be 28%. It has to be around 5 to 8% at max, for which you'll have to cut down subsidies and freebies. That will make GDP growth rate way faster. So that's why I would say I'm a little bit further right of Chanakya on economics. Exactly. Only if Mehdi Hasan and journalists of CNN did the same with Democrats instead of asking ice cream flavor of Biden. Yes, that's why no one cares what Mehdi Hasan asked. Only Ron DeSantis supporters and Democrats loved that interview of Mehdi Hasan with Vivek. कुछ पाने के लिए कुछ खोना पड़ता है. Yes. Here comes another conspiracy theory. YouTube algo is somehow apparently skewed towards libertarian views. Bare biceps is completely opportunistic. Yes. See, libertarian is basically, okay, him being opportunistic is helping whom? It's helping the kind of the Indian right-wing voices only, right? Because that is the core essence of libertarianism and free market economic principles as well, right? That everyone look after your selfish goals to the best of your abilities. That's when society performs better. If someone sells you this idea that I am giving you a magical solution that will make your life better, and therefore do this thing for me, then that never happens in the end. So beer biceps being opportunistic is helping him bring is causing him to bring in people like Amitabh Kant, S. Jayashankar, J. Sai Deepak, Abhijit Chavda, because these are the biggest draws on YouTube. He is not bringing in any significant left-wing voices who are big draws on YouTube. He can't bring Akash Banerjee and Dhruv Rathi. He's not bringing them, at least. Maybe when he does bring one day, he will have some views from those people, but he's not bringing those people because they are kind of his competitors as well. So it's great for us only. It's working to our benefit. Libertarian is basically classical liberal. Modern day liberalism is deranged form of left wing that utilizes banner of liberalism as shield. Chanakya's idea of tax was 1/16th of the income. Mughal's idea of tax was 1/4 of the income in kind or cash. I'll have to pirate Sanskrit or Arthashastra and start studying more Kautilya. Yeah. You're forgetting that the officers could tax non-Muslims as much as they wished. Yeah. What if government only got income from tariffs? This is what US did in 1800s. It will also promote Indian businesses. For that, you'll have to basically eliminate every freebie subsidy, but even then, dependency on tariff is might be a problem because it incentivizes too much of complacency for Indian businesses. Because where did our import substitution go wrong back in the 60s, 70s? Okay, when we had ambassador cards and Santosh radios. Okay, they were horrible products from which we have not really recovered even today. We are starting recovery. We are building great things. When this chair arrived, I thought it's made in India. It will break in 5 days. It's still going on great. Like I keep telling the story of my phone's charger. That's the first mobile phone charger I bought in my life. Just I think about 1 year back, which was made in India for the first time in my 32 years of life. Okay, and that's working fine. I thought it will blow up in 10 days. Why do we have this impression of Indian products? That's because there was import substitution and people said that Indian products will be great. जो बनाना है वो 10 दिन बाद टूट जाए फिर भी बनाओ, हम बाहर के लोगों से टैरिफ मांग लेंगे. So that can't be the way to go. So Indian products must be good enough to compete with outside products as well, for which we can't depend too much or incentivize too much tariff making. Beer biceps is Indian Joe Rogan. He is kind of, and that's why I have a lot of sympathy for beer biceps, and I kind of disagree with people who hate beer biceps. Leftists hate him because he's giving so much voice to right wingers, but even right wingers hate him because of his too many interruptions, etc. But that will happen. He's basically a guy who's perceiving this thing with a seeker's mindset, a curious guy. And that's the entire selling point of Joe Rogan as well, that he's a curious guy. He doesn't know things himself. He's asking people. So curious guy का तो interruption होगा ही थोड़ा बहुत. That's the difference between his interruption and Mehdi Hasan's interruption. Mehdi Hasan is being a bad faith actor when he is interrupting. Beer bicep is actually curious. Opportunists are better than close-minded ideologues. Exactly why beer biceps is helping our cause only. Kautilyanomics is a good book to learn Chanakya economics, I think. Yeah, it would be better for people who are not avid book readers, okay? Because Arthashastra is huge. So unless you have a whole lot of time and a big commitment, you are not going to be helped with reading the entire Arthashastra. Read Kautilyanomics only, or Chanakya Niti, etc. How important is assimilation in modern diverse society? What's the trade-off like between assimilation and diversity? I don't think diversity is important. Diversity is okay. Sorry to parrot Vivek's talking points now, but he has made that point articulately, which I agree with. So kya kare? Multiculturalism is an absolutely bullshit concept. Okay, multi-race might be a thing. Multiculturalism is never a good thing. Different cultures can't really survive under one umbrella by being absolutely different. There has to be some common ground that all the cultures subscribe to. The only reason American multiculturalism survived up until the mid 2005s or early 2010, 11, even until those years, is because every culture was allowed to celebrate their culture, but at the same time they were pretty much except maybe a few NRI Bengalis, they were mostly proud of being American, okay? Which is why even Democrats were free market, Democrats were also patriots, etc. That thing has now gone, which is a result of them completely prioritizing multiculturalism over the umbrella concept as well. So in the same way, assimilation का effort देना होगा outsider को, and accepting that is up to the host as well. But diversity is important only in the way that you get the best people from every culture to do the things in your society. But it cannot surpass or bypass the superset. Superstructure hoga. Superstructure is important, and that's when you get the real benefit of diversity. Diversity is only great when there is some one unifying point. There is as I said in the last day's live stream, some ounce of homogeneity is needed for that framework to remain, inside which we can do a bit of multiculturalism, diversity, individualism, everything. Like anyone who eats food will have to eat food by picking the food up to their mouth and shitting it out of their body from the butthole. Now you can't be a multiculturalist guy or an individualist who says that no, I will consume my food through my butthole and shit it out of my mouth because I'm trying to be different and individualistic. No, you'll have to subscribe to that part of the process anyway. Okay, after that, what food you eat is up to you, or how you play chess is up to you. You can have a different style, but there are basic rules of the chess that you can't bypass. You can be a guitarist of any genre, but guitar playing का एक ही तरीका होता है. वो basic rule तो follow करना ही होगा. Chanakya was against actor worship, but what we see in India is just actor worship nowadays, especially for SRK. How this is affecting our country? Yeah, that's one of the biggest things I agree with Chanakya actually. This taking lifestyle, motivation, health tips, fitness, diet, oh my god, from actors is absolutely insane and absolutely should not happen. They are entertainers. They have a PR approved talking point for each and everything on earth, and even our cricketers for that matter. The only non-PR approved realistic real life interaction that you can see happens only in UFC. Unless you watch MMA, everywhere else you are watching PR approved, PR mugged up talking points. So yeah, that is hugely degrading to the society, to the society's intelligence. For example, I can say best in the field of diet and workout. I've said this before also, so some of you all might think it's repetitive. Let's say in terms of Deepika Padukone. Deepika Padukone says that do separate jaw exercises in order to have a jaw like her. She doesn't say the amount of effort she puts in diet and workout, her being a former badminton player, her father being a badminton player, all that genetics, okay. So why is she saying this then? Because if you just tell people go wake up and do 5 push-ups, that drives people away. So she's not going to tell you the truth. Thomas Sowell has a great quote that when you want what's best for a person, you tell them the truth. When you want what's best for you, you tell them a lie. That sounds good, but doesn't help them. And people who are looking for fitness tips or and want to look like a particular actor have no idea that the physique that they're trying to emulate in an actor from a particular photo shoot, what went into that photo shoot. Lakhs of rupees of worth of lighting, beautiful, skilled workers, skilled light men who held that light in a particular way, the lights themselves, beautiful editing, incredible makeup, and most importantly, at least 1 day of complete dehydration in terms of muscular physique wala photo shoots of men where their abs are showing, etc. In that case, they are probably dehydrated for 2 days prior to that, and continuously take enema and all, so that no water weight remains in the body at all. Their body has to be completely devoid of water in order to get a physique like that. That's what even bodybuilders do on the day of the competition. They bulk up they drink huge amounts of water until 2 days before the competition, and they go to the bathroom continuously. Then they stop taking water completely for the previous 2 days, so that they are completely dehydrated, so that their muscles and veins pop up. So a kid is seeing that and thinking, I'm going to have a physique like that, and I'm going to listen to his fucking advice, where that dumbass actor is going to say, you can do this at your home. I just had a lot of chicken and broccoli rice, and I attained this physique. Chicken, rice and broccoli. That's all I took. I didn't take testosterone. I didn't take estrogen blockers. I didn't take Dianabol. I didn't take Trenbolone. I didn't take any other steroid. I just ate chicken, broccoli and rice, and that's how I achieved that physique. Okay, that's when people lose their way. That's when their opinions become absolutely worthless, and that should not ever happen. That should not ever happen. Sai Deepak's latest interview dekhecho? Yes, 70%. Assimilation was 2000s Euro left idea of creating diversity, which has led to ultra right resurgence in Italy, Poland, and Markia. Diversity has to have some sort of uniting point. Alok Sharma episode of Pure Biceps was awesome, especially those talks on stem cell therapy. Oh, I haven't seen those episodes. Your opinion on gold, silver standard for currency? Yeah, gold. I mean, I'm in support of it. Even Vivek Ramaswamy is in favor of de-dollarization. The one reason why in the end, Trump supporters will probably not vote for Vivek, at least not in 2024, is because they haven't had a discourse to this extent on this particular topic, which is they still think that they can be a manufacturing hub of the world. That is not happening in this lifetime ever again. They keep some of them are pestering Vivek on this, that why are you in favor of legal migration? Even some people are accusing him of wanting to have a lot of Indian legal immigrants to USA. Or why are you not shifting manufacturing completely to USA? Why are you shifting it to as you say, India, Singapore, or Vietnam, etc.? Why not USA itself? That will never happen, Americans. That time is gone. If manufacturing shifts completely to USA, you can't afford anything already because of inflation. You won't be able to afford your own things that you make yourself, okay? Unless your minimum wage laws go back to $5, $6. It's not happening. So he is in favor of de-dollarization for this very reason, so that American products become competitive in the entire world. No one buys American products, right? What American thing do you have if you are middle class? In terms of music, once a guitarist is really doing great in their lives, okay, maybe he's the best guitar teacher in the town, or plays with Arijit Singh of some sort, okay, only then he buys an American made electric guitar. Otherwise it's a strict no. No one can afford American products in any field, okay? So that has to go away. That will go away when de-dollarization happens. Implementing free market policies on a demographic of 1.4 billion, which has been majorly electing governments with good farewell economics and socialist idea, is not going to be really easy. Yeah, it's not easy, and it's going to happen. It has to happen anyway, but it's slow and fair enough. BJP tries to balance vote bank politics and economic policy making, which one can criticize, but whether it's Congress or BJP, there will always be a bit of demagoguery and populism in the virtue of democracy. Yeah. Have you looked into Danish migration model? No, I haven't. Many European nations got tempted by it. This model indirectly is shutting down entry points of illegal patharbaz in Europe, but UN can't oppose as it's because they recently elected a right-wing government, right? Yeah, maybe because of that. So now Trudeau is going to lose disastrously as well. Pierre is going to be the prime minister. Modi is going to win again, and either Vivek or Trump is going to be the president. So leftists everywhere are under threat. Argentina just elected an anarcho-capitalist economist guy as president. He's an economist himself. Only superstructure which has somewhat been able to strike a balance between unity and diversity of culture is Sanatan Dharma. Yeah, and even America to a certain extent, with large problems as well. Virendra Sehwag is also no filter. I don't think Vivek is Virendra is no filter because he has retired long back, and now he doesn't really have an interest in becoming a big public celebrity, so he doesn't hire any agency or manager to filter out his talking points. I don't think Vivek or DeSantis can get close to Trump, especially after mugshot incident. Yeah, Vivek will not make it unless Vivek does debate Trump and he destroys Trump in the debates, or if Trump gets somehow they prevent Trump from contesting the elections itself, then it's Vivek. Only superstructure, yeah. At best, I find designed in California. Yeah, not made in USA. Yes, exactly. I had a great guitar processor once. It was designed in USA. I thought, wow, I brought an American processor. Then I found, oh no, it's made in China only. American labor is expensive, not conducive for manufacturing. Yes, and their quality is top notch. So it's a huge problem they are in. Their standard of living is so high. They maintain so good products that no one can afford it. It's a hilarious problem to have. Dhoni met Trump to play golf. Yeah, man, that's the weird things that are happening in the world. What's going on? How is Dhoni playing golf with one of the probably the most famous person on earth? And all these are automatic advertisements for India. Then how can we tie the value of rupee to gold and make this transition? Should we have a policy like pre-FDR US where a set amount of rupees can be directly exchanged for gold? Too much technical, but let's see if I agree with this. Should we? Yeah, it would seem so. That would probably work. I have not thought about it in terms of gold, but this might work. I'll have to think more about it. Look into it more. No, America has been able to maintain diversity of languages, attire, music, dance, etc. Over financialization like USA is bad. We have to prevent that to happen in India. What do you mean by over financialization? Do you mean their credit policy that everyone is in debt to have things? I have also read quite a lot about free banking where currency is privatized and managed by banks, but I don't see that as practical. It was in America in 1800s as well. Yeah. America has not been able to maintain diversity of languages, attire, music, dance, etc. Yes, they have. They all those cultures and nationalities, they do it. They practice it in their own homes, and when they're every country has one day for themselves. Okay, or pride of that particular culture for that month. They practice it in their own way. But if their children don't want to pick it up, half of it is the fault of their parents, and the rest of it is, after all, assimilation. So which is why they become a more of a culturally homogeneous society, which is why Patharbazi socialism finds less roots in USA. They have tried and tried and tried. They are succeeding only from after 2015-16, right? Why is that the case? In India's case, we have had these problems for the last 80 years because we did not do assimilation better than USA. A little more of homogeneity is what I'm talking about. Little more, not too much, but I have more points that are coming to my mind. I'll read some more comments as well. Do you see caste-based reservation getting reduced in next 20 years if everything falls in place? Yes. But you see, Abhay, now, should America have had less homogeneity? See, their Pattharbaz problem is never coming to the forefront. Their Pattharbazi is happening in diversity and equity labs, okay, culture labs, wahan pe. Why is it that? Half of it is because of their free speech law, which is backed up by their gun laws. Okay, no one can have 3 swords in somebody's home and show up at any person's house saying that किसके नाम पे गुस्ताखी हो गया, बाहर निकल अभी, वो भी AR-15 लेके निकलेगा. ठीक है, हाँ, क्या प्रॉब्लम है, बोलो. So assimilation has held their cultural homogeneity to a large extent, which has kept these problems at bay, which we have not been able to keep at bay. Off topic, but do you support or are you against 1947 partition? Sham Sharma made a recent video about it and made some very good points for the partition. Now, partition, whether partition would have been able to be prevented, that depends on who would have been the prime minister. If Nehru was destined to be the prime minister, then okay, partition was a better option. If Ambedkar was the prime minister, then partition was not the best option because he believed in a population exchange, which I don't believe in, because population exchange is impossible in India because of India's porous borders. Everyone's going to always come in unless you increase some portion of your GDP for defense, which is going to be not very good for your economy at the moment, and have snipers on every tree all across the Bangladesh border, okay, and shoot anyone who comes in. Otherwise, you can't really have a strictly a strict border in India. So better for us is that you have CA, NRCA, all those things, and deport people, detain people, and kick them out again. A perpetual deportation and detention facility has to run in India. Otherwise, we can't handle border. So population exchange wouldn't have worked anyway. If it was Netaji or Vallabhbhai Patel, then yes, then we could have done without partition. USA does not have the inherent diversity like Bharat. Yes, true. But again, has that benefited India or benefited USA? Because of our inherent diversity, we have had perpetual secessionist movements, which have caused governments to give them some sorts of reveries in the end, as a way to counter that secessionist movements. What do you think of complete digitalization of currency? Will it happen in India? Is it safe to hand over all our cash to government institutions? Now that question is too late in India, since we don't have any libertarian strain in our blood in 99.9% of Indians. Therefore, it's this conversation is now pointless. It is a significant conversation to have in countries like USA or Estonia, not in India. It's too late for that. अब गवर्नमेंट जो बोलेगा करो. 80 सालों से बोले हो कि सरकार को कुछ करना चाहिए, सरकार क्यों कुछ नहीं कर रही है? Now सरकार will do everything. Sarkar will handle all your money as well, and they will freeze your bank accounts the moment they feel angry with you. Okay, and especially when someday people like, or people themselves, Rahul Gandhi, Mamata Banerjee become the prime minister, all right winger YouTubers' bank accounts are going to be frozen, like what's happening in USA today. Diversity of languages in America is not as formalized as Bharat. What do you mean by formalized in this case? Do you see Shuvendu creating some effect on ground level? Recently, some urban bongs whom I've been in contact have started getting fed up of TMC and their minority appeasement. Yes, they have been fed up forever, but if they are fed up of minority appeasement specifically, then they will vote for Shuvendu. But other than that, just being fed up with TMC doesn't mean a vote for BJP. But other than that, your first part of your question is absolutely true. Shuvendu is definitely a huge force for BJP at the moment on ground level. Bharatiyas love big authoritarian government, yeah. If it was Mamata Banerjee, then too we could have done without partition. Yes, and if I was Batman, I would have been able to save the earth from ever getting destroyed from asteroids. Many urban, semi-urban bongs have silently started to look at commies and leftists antagonistically. Yeah, that's because of social media discourse. Recognized as official languages. I see. But how does that matter anyway? Credit finance, mutual funds, bond market, overprinting of dollar is financialization, unlike US, which is mostly saving type, even Japan, which makes manufacturing impossible in USA due to caste. Yeah, especially credit finance. Dada, why do you always imagine Mamata Banerjee as PM? It can't get that bad. Because, even for hypothetical situations, big names are only Rahul Gandhi, Mamata Banerjee and Kejriwal to some extent. That's why it's just a conversation set piece. I don't agree with you about gun rights in India. Imagine our communal rights, but with guns instead of stones. But I'm not sure if it will work in India. No, you're not getting the main point of gun rights, which is the ones who want to have a gun, the ones who want to kill you, they have it anyway. They will do it with swords, or with literal patthar, or with a small knife, or with a big knife, or with a gun. Only one defenseless is you, who thinks the prime minister or the police is going to show up to help him. No one's coming to help you. Okay, now time to get to description of hell. The sages asked, how do sinners enter the city through the southern gate? O stores of austerity, we wish to hear about this. Please tell us in detail. Vyasa replied, I will tell you about that awful gate. It is terrible and extremely terrible. It is full of many kinds of predatory creatures, and there are the howls of hundreds of female jackals. It is full of shrieks. It is impossible to traverse and makes the body hair stand up. It is surrounded by bhutas, pretas, pishachas and other rakshasas. Okay, now a big footnote is given for all the specific translations. A preta is a ghost, the spirit of a dead person, or simply something evil. A bhuta has the same meaning. Strictly speaking, there are differences between Preta, Bhuta, and Pishacha, one who lives on flesh. A Preta is the spirit, not necessarily evil, of a dead person before the funeral rites have been performed. A Bhuta, not necessarily evil again, is the spirit of a dead person who has had a violent death and for whom proper funeral rites have not been performed and may not have and may not even be performed. A Pishacha, necessarily evil, is often created deliberately through evil powers. So now back to Vyasa's quote. Evil doers see such an extremely terrible gate. They are suddenly overcome by confusion and lament in fear. They are cruelly dragged, bound in chains and nooses. They are repeatedly beaten with sticks and censured. When they regain their senses, they enter through the southern gate, covered in blood and stumbling at every step. There are sharp thorns along the path, which is strewn with gravel. There are rocks that are as sharp as a razor's edge. Some places are covered with mud. There are moats one cannot cross. Some places have iron needles that are like teeth. In some places, mountains and trees have fallen down and blocked the way. Miserable, they travel along a path covered with burning lamps of coal. In some places, there are dangerous pits. In others, there are extremely slippery rocks. There is sand that is very hot, or there are sharp spikes. Some places have hot iron plates, while others have forest conflagrations. Some places have hot boulders, others are covered with ice. In other places, there is sand, and as soon as one enters, one sinks all the way up to one's neck. Some places are covered with foul water, while others are strewn with blazing husk. Some places have terrible lions, wolves, tigers, gnats, and insects. Some places have giant leeches, while others have pythons. Some places have fierce flies, other places have poisonous snakes. Some places have wicked elephants and horses, crazy because of their strength. In some places, giant bulls with sharp horns dig up the path. Angry and crazy buffaloes with huge horns devour them, as do fierce dakinis, female demons, and horrible rakshasas. As they proceed, they suffer from extremely terrible ailments. The extremely strong wind is mixed with a huge storm of dust. Large rocks shower down and strike them, and they are without any shelter. In some places, as they proceed, they are shattered by bolts of lightning. They are pierced all over with a giant shower of arrows. Thunder and extremely fierce meteors descend on them. As they enter, they are scorched by showers of burning coal. They are shrouded in a great shower of dust and weep. They are repeatedly frightened by the extremely terrible roaring of the clouds. They are crushed by the showering down of arrows everywhere. As they proceed, they are sprinkled by large downpours of alkaline water. There is an extremely cold, harsh, and rough wind. It shatters them from every direction, drying them and making them shrivel. Along this path, men may have no provisions to sustain themselves. It is very difficult to pass, and they are without a shelter. There is no water in any direction. They suffer from that great exhaustion, but there is no place of refuge. All the foolish embodied evildoers are conveyed in this way by Yama's extremely powerful messengers, who use force to carry out his commands. They are alone and have no independent will. They are devoid of friends and relatives. They grieve over their own deeds and weep repeatedly. They cannot yet turn into pretas. Their throats are parched and their palates are dry. They are emaciated and scared. Those who are not scared are scorched by the flames of hunger. Some are tied in chains, some other are hung downwards. Yama's messengers, fierce in their strength, parch them and drag them along. There are men with their faces hanging downwards. As they are dragged along, they are extremely miserable. Though they ask repeatedly, they are not given food or water. In voices choking with tears, they plead, "Please give, please give." They are miserable and join their hands in salutation, suffering from hunger and thirst. They can see superior and inferior kinds of food and every kind of drink. There are fragrant objects. Seeing these, they ask repeatedly. They can see curds, milk, and ghee mixed with shali rice. There are fragrant and cool drinks and water. On seeing these, they ask. However, Yama's terrible servants have eyes that are red at the ends. They censure them in harsh words. Yama's servants say, You did not offer oblations at the right time. You did not give to Brahmanas. When something was given to Brahmanas, you forcibly stopped that. The fruits of those sins have now appeared. O wicked ones! Earlier, you did not give your property to Brahmanas. Where is it now? It has not been burnt in fire. It has not perished in water. Nor has it not been stolen by kings or bandits. These heaps of rice should be thought of as those donations which should have been given to virtuous ones full of sattva. This food has all the types: bhoksha, peya, lehya and choshya. Since you never gave these, you will not get these. Food is always brought here and given to those who have offered oblations, performed sacrifices and given to Brahmanas. O those who will go to Naraka! How can we give you what belongs to others? Hearing the words of the servants, though they still suffer from hunger and thirst, they become indifferent. Yama's servants strike them with terrible weapons: clubs, iron rods, spears, javelins, spikes, bludgeons, catapults, clubs, battle axes, and arrows. Extremely cruel, Yama's messengers strike them from the rear. From the front, lions, tigers, and other creatures devour the evildoers. They can neither get in nor can they leave, but suffer from great misery. Suffering because of what they themselves have done, the sinners shriek in extremely hideous tones. In this way, the men are made to suffer a great deal. Yama's servants then make the sinners enter and take them to the place where Yama himself is present. Yama has Dharma in his soul. He is the god who censures Dharma. He is the one who controls everyone. After having suffered a lot along the path, the men reach the city of the dead. The messengers present them in front of Yama. The evildoers, perverse in their intelligence, see the terrible one, with his eyes fixed on the sinners. His cruel face is fanged, his forehead is furrowed, and his glance is harsh. He has a large beard, and his hair stands up. His lower lip throbs. The angry one has 18 arms and resembles a mass of blue collyrium. All the weapons are upraised in his hands, and he also holds his terrible staff. His eyes are like blazing flames, and he is astride a giant buffalo. His garments and garlands are red, and he is as lofty as a gigantic cloud. His voice is like the roar of the cloud of universal destruction when it drinks up the great ocean. He seems to devour the three worlds and vomit flames. Mrityu is near him, with a complexion like that of the fire of destruction. The terrible Kritanta, the destroyer, is also there, resembling the fire of universal destruction. The foremost demon, Mahamari, is there, and so is the terrible Kalaratri. Mahamari is epidemic, Kalaratri is terrible night. There are many kinds of ailments and hardships in diverse fearful forms. They hold javelins, spears, goads, nooses, chakras, and swords. They are fierce, holding vajras, staffs, razors, quivers, and bows. They are known to be cruel and immensely valiant, with complexions like that of collyrium. Yama's messengers are horrible, with every kind of weapon upraised in their hands. He is surrounded by these extremely terrible ones. The sinners see Yama and the terrible Chitragupta. Yama reprimands the sinners a lot. The illustrious Chitragupta enlightens them with words of Dharma. Chitragupta says, O performers of evil deeds, O ones who stole the possessions of others, O ones insolent because of beauty and valor, O ones who outraged the wives of others, you will now enjoy the karma that you have yourselves done. Why did you perform wicked deeds and bring this calamity on your own selves? Suffering from your own karma, why are you lamenting now? Enjoy the miseries you are yourselves responsible for. It is not anyone else's fault. O lords of the earth who have come before me now, you were evil in intelligence and insolent because of your strength, performing terrible deeds. O king wicked in deeds, you were responsible for subjects getting destroyed. For the sake of a kingdom that could last for a short period, why did you perform wicked deeds? Confused by your greed for the kingdom, you used force to unfairly punish subjects. O kings, enjoy the fruits now. Where is the kingdom and the wife for whom you performed these inauspicious deeds? Abandoning all of that, you are stationed here alone. We cannot see the strength you used to destroy subjects. You have been flung down by Yama's messengers. This is the kind of fruit that has resulted now. In this way, Yama also makes them understand with many kinds of words. The evildoers and kings stand there, grieving and silent. After instructing the kings about their deeds, Dharmaraja himself speaks and states how the sins can be purified. Yama says, O Chanda, O Mahachanda, seize these kings. This is Chanda properly, right? O Chanda, O Mahachanda, seize these kings. In the fires of one Naraka after another, purify their sins. They rise swiftly and seize the kings by their feet. Whirling them with great force, they throw them up and seize them again. Depending on the magnitude of the sin, Yama's messengers then violently strike them against a flat piece of rock, like the Vajra striking a large tree. Shattered in this way, they exude streams of blood. The embodied being loses his senses and can no longer move. Touched by the wind, he gradually regains his senses. To purify the sins, the man is then hurled into an ocean of Narakas. The number, listing and names of Narakas varies from one text to another. O Indras among Brahmanas, other evil-doing and extremely miserable men are presented before Yama by the messengers. Yama's messengers say, O God, following your instructions, we have brought this extremely deluded person before you. He has always been engaged in great sins and has turned his face away from Dharma. This one is avaricious and wicked in conduct. He has perpetrated major sins and minor sins too. He is impure and has always engaged in violence. This evil-souled one has had intercourse with those one shouldn't have intercourse with. He has stolen the possessions of others. This one has sold his daughter and bore false witness. He is ungrateful and has deceived his friends. This one is insolent and has always criticized Dharma. In the mortal world, this evil-souled one has performed wicked deeds. O Lord of the gods, now tell us whether he should be punished or shown favors. We will not act contrary to what our masters ask us to do. Having placed these evildoers before the Lord of the gods and informing him, the messengers leave to bring other thousands, lakhs, and hundreds of crores of men who deserve to go to hell. When the crime committed has been ascertained, Yama instructs his own dreadful servants to punish the evildoers. The punishment is according to what Vasishtha and others have determined. Angrily, Yama's servants act so as to extinguish the sins. The sinners are struck and brought down with goads, clubs, staffs, saws, spears, javelins, swords, and tridents. There are thousands, lakhs, and hundreds of crores of men destined for hell. Yama's servants make them suffer because of the sins they themselves have accumulated through their deeds. Hear about the nature of these terrible Narakas, their names and their dimensions. Such men go there. There is a famous Naraka known as Mahavichi. Mahavichi means literally great waves, and it is flooded with blood. It extends for 10,000 yojanas and is strewn with thorns as tough as the Vajra. Immersed there, they are crushed and pierced with thorns as tough as the Vajra. A man who kills a cow suffers in this extremely awful Naraka for 100,000 years. The extremely terrible Kumbhipaka, where one is cooked in pots, extends for 10 million yojanas. It is full of copper pots and is covered with hot sand and coals. A person who kills a Brahmana, steals land or appropriates what is given in trust, is hurled and burned there until all beings are destroyed in the flood. Raurava, literally the dreadful one, more specifically a place where sinners are devoured by animals known as Rudu. That is the place called Raurava. Raurava is enveloped in flames and has iron stakes that are as tough as the Vajra. It extends for 60,000 yojanas. In that hall, men are impaled with blazing iron stakes, like sugarcane. Just as sugarcane is crushed to extract juice, men who bear false witness are made to suffer there. The Naraka known as Manjusha, meaning shaped like a box, is made out of blazing iron. Those who have been seized and imprisoned are hurled there and burnt. The Naraka named Apratishtha, meaning lacking in stability, is full of pus, urine, and excrement. A person who makes a Brahmana suffer falls there, with his head facing downwards. O supreme among Brahmanas, the Naraka Laksha Prajvalita, meaning full of flaming lac, is dreadful and polluting. A drunkard is immersed there and burnt. The Naraka known as Mahaprabha, meaning extremely resplendent, is full of lofty and blazing spears. A person who causes dissension between a husband and a wife is pierced with spears there. The extremely dreadful Naraka Jayanti, meaning the one which conquers, is full of rocks made out of iron. There, sinners who associate with the wives of others are struck with these. The Naraka known as Shalmala, named after the silk cotton tree which is full of thorns, has tough and blazing thorns. A woman who has intercourse with many men has to embrace these and becomes miserable. The tongues of those who always utter falsehoods and hurt others have their tongues plucked out and sliced off by Yama's assistants and servants. Yama's servants use iron spikes to pierce the eyes of those who cast sidelong glances full of attachment towards the wives of others. Those who have intercourse with mothers, sisters, daughters and daughters-in-law, and those who kill women, children and the aged, suffer there for as long as there are 14 Indras. That is, for the duration of 14 Manvantaras. There is a dreadful Naraka known as Maharaurava, that is full of garlands and flames, meaning the great Raurava. It extends for 14,000 yojanas. A foolish man who burns down a city, a field, a home or a village with fire is burned there for the duration of a kalpa. The one known as Tamisra, meaning darkness, extends for 100,000 yojanas. It is terrible. Men who are thieves are made to fall down there and are struck by Yama's servants with swords, double-edged swords, clubs, tridents, spears, maces and other swords for the duration of 300 kalpas. The one known as Mahatamisra, meaning the great Tamisra, is double the size of Tamisra. It is full of leeches and snakes and is devoid of light, causing great misery. A person who kills a mother or a father or kills a trusting friend remains there and is destroyed for as long as the earth lasts. The Naraka named Asipatravana, where there are trees with leaves that are like swords, Asipatravana, gives rise to great sorrows. It extends for 10,000 yojanas and is full of blazing swords. Having fallen down there, the sinner is struck with hundreds of swords. A person who kills a friend is sliced there, for as long as beings are not destroyed in the deluge. The Naraka known as Karambavaluka, full of mud and sand, extends for 10,000 yojanas. It is in the shape of a well and is surrounded with blazing sand, coal and thorns. Those extremely dreadful people who burn others or always use false pretexts are burnt and pierced there for 110,300 years. The Naraka named Kakola. The name has no obvious meaning but may mean a place full of boars and ravens. The Naraka named Kakola is full of worms and pus. Evil-souled ones who eat sweetmeats alone are flung there without sharing. If someone eats sweetmeats without sharing. The Naraka named Kudmala, full of foul filth, is full of urine and blood. Men who do not perform the 5 sacrifices meant for householders, are hurled there. Mahabhima, meaning extremely terrible, has an extremely foul stench and is full of flesh and blood. Worst among men who are addicted to eating what should not be eaten fall down there. Mahavata is full of worms, insects and corpses. Mahavata means the giant noose. If a man sells his daughter, he falls down there and is made to hang face downwards. The Naraka named Tilapaka, where one is cooked like sesamum seeds, is extremely dreadful. Those who cause sufferings to others are crushed there like sesamum seeds. In the Naraka Tailapaka, the ground is flooded with hot oil, where one is cooked in oil. A person who has killed a friend or someone who has sought refuge is cooked there. The one named Vajrakapata, with doors that are like the Vajra, has chains that are like the Vajra. Those who sell milk are made to cruelly suffer there. The one known as Niruchvasa, without any breathing, Niruchvasa, has blinding darkness and is devoid of wind. Those who obstruct donations to Brahmanas are rendered immobile and flung there. The one named Angaropachaya, collection of coal, Angaropachaya, is dazzling with burning coal. A person who says he will give something to a Brahmana but does not give it is burnt there. Naraka Mahapai, the great excrement. Etymologically, the meaning doesn't follow immediately, so this meaning is subjective. Naraka Mahapai extends for 100,000 yojanas. Those who always indulge in false conversations are made to fall down there, heads facing downwards. Naraka Mahajwala, literally the great blaze, is horrible, radiant and blazing. A man with wicked intelligence is burned there for a very long time. In the Naraka known as Krakacha, literally a saw, men who are addicted to having intercourse with those one should not have intercourse with are sliced with fierce saws that are as sharp as the Vajra. Naraka Gudapaka, where one is cooked in molasses, is surrounded by lakes full of flaming molasses. A man who causes a mixture of the Varnas is flung there and burned. Naraka Shuradhara, as sharp as a razor, is full of sharp razors. Until the end of the Kalpa, men who steal the land of Brahmanas are sliced there. Okay, I'll just underline this. Naraka Gurapaka, you'll be cooked with gur basically, is surrounded by lakes full of flaming molasses. A man who causes a mixture of Varnas is flung there and burnt. So there's basically no scriptural basis, maybe at least not according to Brahma Purana, for mixing of Varnas. But of course, if someone bypasses Brahma Purana, they are not really actively persecuted that much. That is the inherent ever-going conflict of Hinduism, which makes it sort of tolerant or vulnerable at the same time. Until the end of the Kalpa, men who steal the land of Brahmanas are sliced there. The Naraka known as Ambarisha is radiant with the fire of universal destruction. Ambarisha meaning a frying pan. A person who steals gold is burnt there for 1 crore of kalpas. The Naraka named Vajrakuthara is full of Vajras. Vajrakuthara meaning axes that are Vajras. Evildoers who cut down shades of trees are sliced there. That is the branches. The Naraka known as Paritapa, literally lamentation, blazes with the fire of universal destruction. A poisoner or an evildoer who steals honey is cooked there, or steals liquor is cooked there. Honey or liquor. The Naraka Kala Sutra, literally string thread of destiny, is fashioned out of strings of Vajra. Those who plunder the crops of others are whirled around there and sliced. The Naraka named Kashmala, which means foul or dirty, is full of phlegm, 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 and mucus from the nose. Men who are addicted to liquor and flesh are hurled there for the duration of a kalpa. Naraka Ugragandha, you all know what it means, with a foul stench. Naraka Ugragandha is full of saliva, urine, and excrement. Those who do not offer pindars to ancestors are hurled into that Naraka. The Naraka named Durdhara, impossible to tolerate, is full of leeches and scorpions. A person who accepts a bribe remains there for 10,000 years. Naraka Vajra Mahapira, where Vajras cause great suffering, is fashioned out of Vajra. Those who steal riches grain, gold, and objects belonging to others are flung into this and burnt, tortured by Yama's servants. So all socialists are going to Vajra Mahapira and bureaucrats are going to Durdhara. Yama's messengers use razors to slice those thieves into tiny bits. For foolish ones who kill living beings and eat them, till the end of the Kalpa, Yama's servants make them eat their own flesh like crows and vultures. If people steal seats, couches, and garments belonging to others, like sugarcane, they are crushed there. Okay, so like sugarcane, they are crushed there, as are men who bear false witness. The Naraka described as Ayasa, made of iron, is made out of blazing iron. Those who seize and imprison others are flung there and burnt. Naraka Atratishtha, meaning stay here, is full of pus, urine, and excrement. Those who criticize the Smriti texts and the Vedas fall there, with their heads facing downwards. The Naraka known as Parilumpa or Parilumpa, which means full of torments, full of torments. Parilumpa is full of vultures, dogs, and wolves. Those who kill the young and the aged. We have corrected a typo in the text which says Kruddha, angry, instead of Vriddha, aged. Those who kill the young and the aged are scorched in that terrible place. The Naraka named Karala, meaning dreadful, is full of dreadful pretas. A person who makes Brahmanas suffer is devoured by Rakshasas there. The terrible Naraka Vilepana, literally meaning a smearing of ointment, Vilepana. The terrible Naraka Vilepana is full of blazing lac, LAC. O excellent Brahmanas, drunkards are immersed there and burnt. Naraka Mahapreta, meaning a giant preta, has a lofty and blazing trident, Trishul. There, that trident is used to pierce those who cause dissension between a husband and a wife. Naraka Mahaghora, extremely terrible, has a blazing iron slab. Blazing iron slab. A wicked person who has intercourse with another person's wife is dragged on it. The Naraka known as Shalmali, meaning the silk cotton tree full of thorns. The silk cotton tree full of thorns. The Naraka known as Shalmali has a tree with firm and blazing thorns. A man who seeks out the weaknesses of others is made to embrace this and suffers from grief. If people utter lies or truth that hurts others, Yama's assistants and servants pluck out their tongues. Truths or lies that hurt others. Shit. Those who have intercourse with mothers, sisters, daughters, or daughters-in-law are hurled on masses of burning coals by Yama's servants and burnt. If foolish people take away the Dharma, homes, gold, or possessions of others, Yama's messengers pierce them with javelins and spikes. In this case, taking away Dharma means obstructing the practice of Dharma. If those with evil intelligence steal fruits and leaves of other men, Yama's angry messengers burn them, like grass being burnt by the fire. If a man with evil intelligence is always attached to the objects or wives of others, Yama's messengers dig out his heart with a blazing trident. If men turn themselves away from Dharma in deeds, thoughts, and words, in Yama's world, they receive terrible and severe hardships. In this way, there are hundreds, thousands, lakhs, and hundreds of crores of Narakas. Men who perform evil deeds go to these. Even if a man does even the slightest bit of something that is inauspicious, he obtains terrible hardships in a Naraka in Yama's world. Foolish men do not listen to the virtuous words spoken by Dharma. Instead, they reply, "Who has himself seen all this?" Men who make efforts to perform wicked deeds day and night, those who are confused and deluded and do not follow Dharma, and those who wish to enjoy fruits in this world and turn themselves away from the world hereafter, are worst among men. They fall into extremely dreadful Narakas. Residence in Naraka is terrible, but residence in heaven brings happiness. By undertaking inauspicious and auspicious deeds, men respectively go there. Wow. This was the end of this subchapter. Next subchapter is called Destination of the Virtuous. Okay, so where are the good people going? That's what will be described next. Oh, this was insane. Okay, let me just refresh the chats a little and reply to some comments and chats. ओके, अब है सेइंग हिंदू धर्म की इब्राहिमिक मान्यताओं की भांति एक पुस्तक नहीं होती. कहीं सारे देव देवताएं होते हैं. या दैट्स अ सटल डिफरेंस, नॉट इनफ टू सेट हिंदुइज्म अपार्ट एज अ स्पेशल आइडियोलॉजी. ओके, लेट्स चेक सम कमेंट्स फ्रॉम मच अबव. Okay, so I'm not sure if it will work in India in terms of gun rights. That's what Files had said. But you see, what will work in India, those sorts of things were predicted by Congress as well, right? P. Chidambaram, Shashi Tharoor, their comments are still viral that India will never be a digitized economy. How will you do UPI and stuff in India? Will a beggar use UPI? Will a street vendor use UPI? Now they are all using it. So gun culture is already there in Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, UP already. So that can easily translate everywhere else. They can have guns, use them for sport shooting, etc. And everyone has some basic defense. Okay, no Trinamool supporter or Pattharbaz should have the audacity to come in front of my home and say that, hey, what were you saying yesterday on your live stream, huh? Come out now. Okay, right then, when that happens, if that ever happens, I should be able to come out with a fucking AR-15 in front of their faces. That's all I'm saying. I think that is Bharat's USP and richness of heritage, which we can use effectively, but policies and infrastructure is useless. Yes. Diversity. Yes. Our diversity can be a strength. It is strength to a large extent, but because there is something called Sanatan Dharma, Hinduism, or an Indian nationalism to bound it with. So we should never lose focus of having some binding agent as well. Okay. মা বলতেন মামদভূত সবচেয়ে ভয়ানক. Bengali speakers, please check out Nandini Bhattacharya someday. Best part of Amitabh Kant's interview was to have constant competition. He said, if some district is yes, failing in ranking, then MP, MLA, collector should be named and shamed. Yeah, that was great. But also, Abhijit Chavra's recent interview, I think, which came out day before yesterday, the one with our वो IT talent management minister जैसा कुछ नाम है ना, वो एक मोटा सा आदमी, something Chandrasekhar. His and Amitabh Kant's interview I really liked. It was different from all the other interviews, all the big minister interviews that Beer Biceps did, or even when some ministers are appearing on Smita Prakash's podcast, etc. Those are basically fluffy talking points that the ministers use as an opportunity to say kya jhande gade hain. Why Amitabh Kant's and Chandrasekhar's interview with Abhijit Chavra was different, and why that impressed me extra, was because these were not lofty claims of what amazing things I have done, kya kripa kiya hai maine deshvasiyon pe. This was both of these interviews were all plans for future. These reforms we will do. They were basically setting out the list of these are the things we are about to do, and we are excited for that. That was a beautiful tone to have, and as an audience especially, I liked that. I don't want to know what amazing things you have done. I know some of it is bullshit, that what you have done. Some of what you are saying that you have done, you have not actually done. So those interviews are basically worthless unless you are a diehard supporter of those people. But these two interviews specifically were about what we are going to do. इंग्लिश से अच्छा अपनी भाषाओं में ये सब पढ़ना होता है. या হ্যাঁ ঠিক, বাংলায় পড়া উচিত, একদমই ঠিক. রিমাইন্ডস মি অফ রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীত, আগুনের পরশমণি ছোঁয়া প্রাণে জীবন পূর্ণ করো দহন দানে. Fire purifying properties are a big part of Dharma. Fire Shuktam is Rigved, is for Agnidev. Yes. Any custom where fire is worshipped, you know that is probably ancient as hell. Okay, because unless fire was our basic first savior, okay, as humans vulnerable to nature, climate, and other wild animals. So those, if that trait of fire worshipping remains in a religion, you know that religion is pretty old. Okay. But Bibek Debroy's translation is commendable. Yeah. Yeah, I can speak and read somewhat Hindi, but choose not to speak it. Hindi, okay. Hiran Sharkar, okay. Did the ancient rishis used to masturbate? Rishis, I don't think so they used to, because ever since brahmacharya phase happens, they were supposed to avoid masturbation as far as I know. I'm not 100% sure, probably not. Can someone explain the purpose of Swarga and Narak if there is Punarjanma? Why punish or reward in different lok when they can instead be reborn and punished? This was explained in our subchapter which we discussed, I think, in the beginning of our Brahma Puran live streams. Okay, that was specifically about Naraka, Patal Lok, nether regions, etc. There it was kind of specified that Naraka might metaphorically mean a temporary place of suffering, okay, and after that you are born again. So that suffering doesn't absolve you of your actions. So depending on that, your next life will be you will be born in a specific situation, but वो punishment भी face करना होगा. आप बांग्ला बोलो और मैं हिंदी, अंग्रेजी से अच्छा है, ठीक আছে. नरक में गार्लैंड. Also बांग्ला live stream कবে হবে আপনি বললেন এই সপ্তাহে হবে. Yes, I didn't do it today because again I had a few days gap and a lot of new subscribers came. That's why. If I do a live stream tomorrow, then I'll do it in Bengali, or maybe not. Weekends I have extra viewers. I'm not sure. Let's see. I'll decide tomorrow. 100 yugo baad hoga Bangla live stream. Interesting question. Perhaps once we pay for our major sins, we are reborn to correct ourselves. Probably in Naraka we cannot add to our positive negative karma anymore. Right. True, and also it's temporary. You should read Chandranath Boshu's Hindutva book in Bangla live stream. It is available in good quality on Internet Archive. Okay. उल्टा लटका देते हैं. I still don't understand axioms of Hinduism. What makes one a Hindu? In legal terms, any following any customs that was basically inherently Indian makes you a Hindu. Why try to parse something that's not true? Parse meaning parse what? One who believes in the authority of the Vedas is Hindu, but this is very loosely used and not entirely accurate nowadays. Yes, because legally speaking, Jains, Buddhists are also Hindu and they reject Vedas, Lingayats, etc. I'm trying to understand logic of those who wrote Puranas. Yeah, Purana ko samajhna thoda kathin hai. Vedas is a doctrine analogous to Quran in Islam. Then what makes Hinduism not a religion? Because first of all, you are allowed to question, you are allowed to have debates, etc. And reform is happening. No one's going around killing each other. You are spewing absolute nonsense. I'm not even feeling the urge to hurt you, kill you. I'm not even frustrated. Those are the things that makes Hinduism different from Islam. That seems to be a logical answer, but only more reading will answer the question and infer how stupid these logics might be. Yeah, the very fact that you can call it stupid and be alive should tell you that it's different from Islam. It may not be true, but there has to be some logic behind why they came up with this kind of idea of Naraka. Maybe certain things are metaphorical. Yeah, of course. And check and balance mechanism, like what Rajashri Nandi said, that okay, be atheist. Why do you need IPC then? Okay, if religion is causing all the problems, if you don't really need religion to regulate the society, why do you need IPC also then? People, humanity is there. No, people will magically be good people in their lives. So abolish IPC. This is what Dennis Prager was saying with Jordan Peterson's that Exodus documentary. Dennis Prager was saying that you want to defund the police. Okay, everyone follow 10 commandments at home. Then we won't need police. We need police because no one's following the 10 commandments. यदि ये केवल कल्पना भी है तब भी ऐसी कल्पना की प्रेरणा कहाँ से मिली? Yes, that's what I was interested in the beginning as well, because after all it's an interesting text, old text. We need to read it to understand why it survived, what wisdom metaphors can we find here, what literature वाला रस we can find here. ब्राइब लेने हेतु तो लगभग सब बाबू नरक में जाएंगे. Hinduism is a religion. What makes it different is that there are many different readings and schools of thoughts, Shraddha Darshan based on the Vedas. Well, Abrahamics would argue that they have different sects. Why would they go out of their way to create such a descriptive fantasy? There has to be a good reason for everything. Can't dismiss things by saying they are illogical. Yes, that's a lazier way of looking at it, that it's illogical. I think there are different schools of thoughts in Islam, Shia, Sunni and Christianity as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yes. गरुड़ पुराण तो यूं ही बदनाम है, कांटेदार पेड़. Speciality of Hinduism is that unlike Islam and Christianity, there is no mutual respect between these schools of thoughts. Yeah, true. Unlike Shia and Sunni, yogis and Vedantins are never went to war. Exactly. Well, we can dismiss claims as illogical at the face of it unless provided with a logic. It is not our job to read too much into such ancient texts and try to interpret it in a way to make it consistent to today's worldviews. Yeah, that's why I'm not saying that there is actually a place where it's filled with pus, where people are drowning head down. We are looking at it through the lens of philosophy and literature as well, because otherwise, if you don't have this layer of metaphor philosophy and believe in something called logic, which you have made up, that's not the definition of logic. Logic does not mean things that are visible with your five senses. In that case, again, why don't we throw our dead bodies of our relatives on the street when they die? What use are they of to you? Right at the moment they die, their life is over. Now fuck their bodies. Okay, what's the problem? Or what is the difference between you and a dog? Or what is the difference between a dog who is mad and versus a dog who plays with a particular toy? If you have a pet at your home, you know that a dog will have a very specific toy that it will consider its own. Okay, so what is that it? What is that self? All these are metaphorical and philosophical questions, which does not come under your definition of that thing called logic. Make it consistent. Okay, Hindu Dharma ki difference in ideology. In Hindu culture, we are encouraged to seek the truth as opposed to blind faith in Abrahamic cultures. Do you believe in Punarjanma? Shorgo not a concept of Abrahamic religion. বোঝা যায় হিন্দু ধর্মে এগুলো খটকা লাগছে. Even if you do think it's not at par with in otherwise Hinduism, if you think that these ideas of heaven and hell seems problematic to you, that is also fair enough. Then you can just understand that these parts of the Brahma Puran were probably written after in the medieval era, because again later interpolations are always there in ancient texts. 2 days ago, a TMC spokesperson said that the most ancient name of India was Meluha. Can you throw some light on this? It was considered Meluha at one point. Meluha, Bharatakhande, Bharatavarshe, Jambudvipe, all these were names at different points of time. The reason for Naraka is to resolve some of your karmic memory, vital memory, to make you neutral enough to become eligible for earth, for rebirth. That is why being more attached to the physical world could lead you to become a bhoot or a pret. I read about Punarjanma that the mind along with senses go to the next body. Yeah. There are two streams of Hinduism scriptures, which are Vedas, Itihasas and Puranas, and other is Agamas and Tantras. These are moral questions. I, as an atheist, try to use utilitarianism as a tool to form these moral views and ideas. Okay, good. Yeah, and also Aryavarta. Now, this is where Hiran has brought up an important point. A lot of people misunderstand what utilitarianism means. Okay, utilitarianism, that word, is derived out of the concept of utility. जिसका कोई यूज है तुम्हारे पास, वैसा चीज को यूटिलिटी बोला जाता है. और and having an ideology or a way of thinking based on considering things on the amount of use it brings to your life, that's called utilitarianism. Now, atheists have this tendency of considering religion or religious practices as non-utilitarian, and religious people have this habit of saying that utilitarianism is not the only thing that matters in the world. There are things like religion that can also bring some there's an importance of religion as well, not just utilitarianism. But what I don't understand is, from an English grammar perspective, how is utilitarianism not not considering religion as a part of it as well. Okay, first of all, if you are a believer, from a believer's perspective, religion is perfectly utilitarian. Okay, because it's giving you benefits, etc. You are talking with God. Okay, you have your connection with God, and you are seeking His blessings, etc. But from a Marxist, atheist, materialistic point of view, I don't understand how religion is not utilitarian. It absolutely has utility. First of all, in terms of doing meditations, okay, atheists all around the world are doing meditations. That's an absolutely Hindu religious action to do. Okay, how is that not utilitarian? Okay, how is that not giving you some utility? Okay, set aside meditation, since it has been secularized to such a large extent. Even other than that, doing basic some sandhyopasanas, some yagyas that you are supposed to do at home. I don't think any Brahman does that at their homes unless they are professionally a priest. Or let's say a basic puja of any god in the morning, Shiva Ashtottara Shatanamavali, etc., or Tantra anyway. So how is that not utilitarian if it brings an insane amount of discipline in your lives? Can anyone in the world, can any athlete, can any successful athlete or sports personality can guarantee me with their hands on their chest while fully swearing that they are saying the truth, that doing one thing at one specific time each and every day does not result in extra discipline for the rest of the day? Is that really anybody's claim? I would say anyone who says that it does not bring extra discipline for the rest of the day is absolutely fucking lying. And therefore you have a completely Marxist, atheist and utilitarian justification for doing puja pat. These are moral questions. Aryavarte. In Hindu Dharma, there are different lokas like Swarga, Patal, Narak, Naglok, etc. Different beings live there, devas, asuras, etc. Realms, yes, dimensions, whatever. Meluha name comes from Sumerian tablets, which tells about eastern traders from Meluha, and is concluded that it refers to IVC, Indus Valley civilization, right? You get your loka according to your karma and shakti. Once your karmas are exhausted, you come back to Mrityu Loka to work for Mukti. Yeah. Give the example of the dead body of your loved one. Why not just throw it away? Yeah. Yoga is exclusive to Hindu? Yes, because only Hindu texts mention yoga, not Quran. And because yoga is not just workouts. Yoga is a completely different, completely specific, separate religious practice. Okay, it's a philosophy on into its own. Samkhya and yoga is considered part of Samkhya, but at one point they were different also. But yoga is not just doing different stretches. Okay, yoga in Bengali as well as in any Indian language literally means addition. Okay, union. Yoga is your way of pursuing your union with God, where you and God become the same entity. So how is this not a religious Hindu concept? If you consider just stretching, even if that comes from specific yogic exercises, then also it has to be a Hindu exercise. Just like Dun Baitak is called Hindu push-up by Americans. We didn't call it Hindu push-ups. We were saying Hinduism was created in 1947. They call it Hindu push-ups because only Hindus do it. And Hindu religious heroes who were always great in wrestling, etc., wielded a mace. They also did the same kinds of workouts. Yoga is exclusive. Free speech absolutists oppose blasphemy laws as they become excuses for state incompetence. But state is incompetent by choice. Even if there is complete freedom, how will we tackle M problem? What will guns... what will gun rights do and till what extent? Because judiciary is shit too. Good question. I will answer it elaborately. Free speech absolutists oppose blasphemy laws as they become excuses for state incompetence. Exactly. What I would call a band-aid law. Now, in this situation, compare it with USA. Okay. State is not incompetent there. Police go and arrest whoever they want to. Okay. Plus, the guy has a gun in their home zone already. So, there was a Draw Muhammad contest in Houston. One guy went there to shoot the place up. Okay, one Pattharbaz guy. and he was shot up bloodily by a man with a gun, by a Texan with a gun. He couldn't do anything. Salman Rushdie's eye was damaged because Salman Rushdie doesn't believe in guns. I know NRI liberals who say, I don't have a gun on principle. What fucking principle do you need to not defend yourself when an attacker enters your home? Okay. So the second part of your question is, blasphemy law is always going to be, is mostly going to be misused. And the idea with a free society is that you should not be weak enough to feel blasphemed. Okay, you're not supposed to feel that sad. You're not supposed to be that mentally weak, because the response has to be proportional always. If someone shows up at your house to kill you with a gun, you are supposed to kill them. If someone gives you gali, you are supposed to give them gali. If someone disrespects your religion, you are supposed to disrespect their religion. With a blasphemy law, we can't do that. And more importantly, like again, Vivek says that when you prevent people from talking, they end up screaming. When you prevent people from screaming, they start breaking things. What will gun rights do, and till what extent? Because judiciary is shit too. You mean if the person who is defending their lives is tried and is convicted by the judiciary? That's always a chance that may end up happening. But what would you rather prefer? Would you rather prefer that you have faith on CJ Chandrachud that he may or may not try you for killing a guy who was trying to kill you, or would you rather die in front of the attacker? So guns are always going to save you. Dead bodies aren't thrown away because they still have some prana for days after death. This can be used to do lower beings, upasana, or black magic, etc., abhichara. Also due to emotional reasons. Yes, but why should an atheist do it then? Atheists should not have emotional reasonings. I don't understand how someone is an atheist. If one takes Isha Bhashamidang Sarvang, it is defined God as the infinite. Do atheists not believe a concept of infinity exists? Same with Punarmada mantra. I don't know, at least as far as the names of Shiva is concerned, I don't see how Shiva is deniable. And even though dark energy and dark matter, etc., these things are different, but if you look up their definition, they all seem to point to what Shiva is supposed to be observed as. Yoga came from Hindu philosophy, which has universal applications. Yes, just because it has come out of Hindu culture doesn't make it wait, where did it go? Just because it has come out of Hindu culture doesn't make it exclusive Hindu action. Just like most of the modern scientific inventions are done by Christians doesn't make it exclusive to them. Yes, most modern scientific contributions, if they did come out of the Bible, then it would make them Christian inventions. But since yoga is part of a very core part of Hindu philosophy, that is yoga. Yoga is specifically called yoga and not Shari Shakti or some Sanskrit translation for workout, physical fitness. Therefore, it's purely Hindu philosophy, your union with God. Union, yog, and therefore it's absolutely Hindu. Okay, exclusive to them. If one doesn't believe Ganesh, Vishnu, I understand, but belief in God as defined by Upanishad seems obvious and logical. But the benefits reaped from yoga got nothing to do with the beliefs or God connections provided by Hinduism. If not, where's the evidence? Yes, because by connection with God, an atheist is not supposed to know what that means, because atheists are usually lazy and uneducated on these things. Because the atheist does not know what the text is saying when they say meeting with God, therefore you are not getting that yoga actually leads to union with God. What is that peace and feeling of good health they are feeling when someone is doing yoga? Why is that? If a God and you become one, are you really not going to feel peace and health benefits that you feel out of yoga and meditation? So you are getting the same benefits that you would have if you were one with God, and the same benefits come out of a particular workout that claims to do union with God, and the benefits are same, but still they are not. But still, yoga is not the same as what it claims to be, and union with God. What kind of logic is that? It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's doing its claim. It's what its advertisement is, and its claim is. It's exactly the same. So when you are one with Shiva, it does not mean you start to look like Shiva and have a Trishula and go live in Kailasha. Okay. Where's the evidence? That's not a good argument, because since those scientists followed scientific framework and thinking, there was no contribution of theology in those in any way. Yeah, yoga is not exclusive, but Hindu philosophy should be credited for it. Yoga is exclusively Hindu, but yes, non-Hindus can do it. But in case of yoga, its entire framework, objective methods are from our shastras. Yeah. In Isaac Newton was a devout Christian and took inspiration from a Bible for most of his inventions. Where did the comment go? Yeah, most of his inventions, even when he delved himself into studying alchemy, could say the same for Galileo. No, they were devout Christians, but what part of Bible did they get inspired from? Okay, exactly what from Bible did trigger their thoughts? Nothing. But in case of yoga, Galileo, the actual postures of yoga are not very old and were invented in the 19th century by some Westerners, according to what some Western scholars I read said. I see. Existence and inexistence of God entirely is on how you define God. Yeah. When someone asked Sadhguru, "Do you know God?" he replied wisely, "Which God?" According to him, only the breathing exercises and meditations are core of Indian systems. The postures are not core Indian, according to what I read there. I'm not sure. Yes, that was his background, but the work he did in terms of physics and maths, can you trace back them to theology or specifically the New Testament? Show me what scientific invention was based on New Testament. Then I'll understand that it was a Christian invention. That is why there are classifications of yoga and levels of yoga. Yeah, it's like saying a religious man invented a new thing and the religion gets credit for that. Yeah. Okay, now let's get back to Brahma Purana. How long is our live stream? Okay, then we'll end it here. It's 2 hours 20 minutes. We discussed some great sections of Brahma Purana. What's the next day's topic? Next day's topic is destination of the virtuous. Okay. Good night then, guys. Thank you for joining the live stream. Good night. See you tomorrow, most probably.